The Viking culture is one of the most famous cultures in history. But there were different types of Vikings, each with their own focus and unique history based on where in the Viking world they hailed from. Today we will learn about how the different Vikings from Denmark, Norway and Sweden had their own focus and their own impact on history. This is Knowledge Voyage. But before this video starts, don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the bell so that you can get all of our weekly videos about history. Thank you. The Vikings were a major force in Dark Age Europe, raiding and conquering from Ukraine to Newfoundland. The modern nations of Norway, Sweden and Denmark are the ancestral homes of the Vikings, and whilst there was a common Norse culture and language, the Vikings from each of what would one day become these modern states were slightly different. Let's have a quick look at how the Vikings from what are now these modern states differed. The first group of Vikings were Norwegian Vikings. Norwegian Vikings are believed to have invented the longboat as a means of sailing between the fjords and mountain valleys that made land transport long and dangerous in Norway. They quickly realised that the longboats had uses besides peaceful transport. The Norwegian Vikings focused their conquests on the islands of the Arctic and Norwegian Sea. They captured the Shetland Islands in Scotland, and even today, most people on the islands are of Norwegian ancestry. The Norwegian Vikings also conquered Ireland and turned Dublin into one of their main trading ports, where everything from food and clothes to human slaves were traded. The Norwegian Vikings also settled the empty island of Iceland, fascinated by its volcanoes and epic landscapes. Norwegian Viking descendants on Iceland, like Leifur Eriksson, later went on to reach as far west as Newfoundland in modern Canada, and this made Norwegian-descended Vikings the first Europeans in the New World, and we have a video on this which you may find interesting. The second group of Vikings were Danish Vikings. The Danish Vikings were arguably the most politically ambitious of all the Vikings, raiding Charlemagne's kingdom and regularly involving themselves in royal disputes amongst Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. At one point, most of northern and eastern England was under Danish control, in the so-called Danelaw, a testament to both their political ambition and their famous battlefield prowess. The Danish language also developed slightly differently, due to its closer proximity to mainland Europe and their closer integration with other European peoples. The final group of Vikings were Swedish Vikings. Swedish Vikings were different from their Norwegian and Danish cousins, largely due to geography. Norway and Denmark face west, and therefore they sent their expeditions westwards. By contrast, Sweden has no west coast, and thus faces east. And for this reason, Swedish Vikings focused their expeditions to the east of Sweden, in the Baltic and what is now Russia. The most notable Swedish expeditions were actually in what is now Russia. The natives of the Baltic and Karelia called the Swedish Vikings the Russi, which in their language means rowing, a reference to the way Swedish Vikings would row their longboats down Russia's long rivers. In fact, the word Russi is what gave the country Russia its name. The Swedish Vikings were vastly outnumbered by native Slavs they conquered, and as a result, Swedish Vikings quickly began to assimilate. In the Dark Ages, the Swedish Vikings explored converting from Norse paganism, but were unsure what to convert to. So they welcomed missionaries from Muslim and Catholic states, but they were unimpressed by both. But when Swedish Vikings visited Constantinople, they were blown away. They named it Miklagard, meaning the Great City, and they were keen to convert to the Eastern Orthodoxy of the city, and as a result, the Swedish Vikings in Russia became Orthodox. So, Swedish Vikings, or the Russi, gave Russia both its name and its dominant religion. Major contributions. So it can be seen that whilst Vikings from what is now Norway, Denmark and Sweden had a shared Norse culture, they also had important differences and impacts on world history. Thanks for watching everyone. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.